Contrary to what all the doomsayers keep proclaiming, the comics industry continues to be great. The big two, Marvel and DC, as well as other publishers such as Image and IDW, are all publishing some of the most entertaining comic book stories in recent memory. 2018 was great, but 2019 looks as though it could be even better. We're only halfway through the year, and yet there is literally so much on the shelves right now that could be described as unmissable. It's actually more difficult not to gush over the efforts of Marvel and DC's creators than it is to simply just let it happen. There are so many reasons to be positive when both publishers are producing so much quality content, to the point where their only gripes currently are that A, everything is so expensive, dear God, and B, no one could possibly hope to read every book at once. But that's where I come in, because while you might not be able to read every comic, you can pick out a select few. So, I'm Ewan from What Culture, and here are 10 Marvel and DC comics you should be reading in 2019. Number 10, Deathstroke. Over 2 years since it started, it could be argued that I've run out of adjectives to describe Christopher Priest's Deathstroke, so here's a new one: fantabulous. Priest's book continues to set the bar for all other villain-based comics, imbuing the Terminator with a twisted streak that manages to repulse as often as it does intrigue. Espionage, suspense, political intrigue, Deathstroke has it all, and as the book ratchets up Slade's confrontation with the Teen Titans, things could finally be about to come to a close. Following on from Deathstroke's battle with Batman last year, Priest has brought Slade back to his roots by having him take on the team that defined him back in the 80s. It's still new though, and while it's unusual to find yourself rooting for someone as despicable as Deathstroke, it somehow all makes sense the further you go along. Oh, and Carlo Pagulane's pencils, they're as brilliant as ever. Number 9, Daredevil. There isn't a character in Marvel's library as accustomed to critical success as the Man Without Fear, but just because Marvel fans are used to it, that doesn't make the latest series any less impressive. Chip Zdarsky, hot on the heels of his seminal stint on Spectacular Spider-Man, has brought readers a tale of a Daredevil in crisis. It grounds the character in his slightly more somber roots, but the introspective approach taken by Zdarsky ensures it stands apart from other stories to have featured Matt Murdock. There's a real effort made here to dissect what makes Murdock tick, but it doesn't meander at any point. Zdarsky's comic features Daredevil with Hell's Kitchen up against him and suffering from a crisis of identity, featuring some stunning covers from Julian Tedesco and some wonderful interiors courtesy of Marco Cicchetto, and it's clear the series is off to a bright start. Number 8, Action Comics / Event Leviathan. Brian Bendis left Marvel so he could work on Superman, and if anything shines through in the writer's work since he made the switch, it's his passion for the character. Whether on Superman or Action Comics, Bendis' love and reverence for the character is evident. One of the best things about the writer's stint on the book thus far, though, has been his depiction of the character's supporting cast. Lois Lane, in particular, is so enjoyable to read in this series, and things look set to get even better in the summer with Event Leviathan, with Bendis assembling a veritable who's who of DC's finest sleuths to solve a mystery. Lois, Manhunter, the Kate Spencer Manhunter no less, Batman, Green Arrow, Plastic Man, and The Question, oh my god, are all set to join Supes to unravel the upcoming mystery, and so far it looks as though it will possess all the trappings of a classic DC crossover. Number 7, War of the Realms. When Jason Aaron closes out his years-long run on Thor, it'll be remembered as one of the best Marvel books to have featured the God of Thunder, while its scale alone distinguishes it from all of the superhero stories currently on stands. War of the Realms, although separate to the main Thor series, is still the culmination of Aaron's work on the character. He's joined once again by the dynamic Russell Dauterman on pencils and Matt Wilson on colours, but this time it's more than just the God of Thunder who's involved. War of the Realms is everything a good Marvel event should be. It's big and bombastic, but it's also incredibly unique. Aaron assembles lineups and individual teams that fans couldn't have possibly predicted when the series was announced, ensuring that, while the situation for Earth's mightiest heroes is certainly dire, everything is still really fun. Also, Daredevil is now the God Without Fear. That's worth the price of admission alone. Number 6, X-23. Tom Taylor's Wolverine might have been something special, but Mariko Tamaki has been busy putting together a more than worthy successor. It's just as good as Taylor's series, and though Laura Kinney is no longer going by the name of Wolverine, her return to her older codename by no means indicates a step down. X-23 matters, and she's at the forefront of the Marvel Universe alongside fellow Logan clone Gabby, aka Honey Badger. The sisterly bond between the pair forms the central pillar of Tamaki's story, and even though they end up being pushed to their limits by the time the first arc concludes, X-23 remains fun from start to finish. Tamaki has captured both characters' respective voices perfectly, which helps distinguish X-23 apart from other X titles currently on shelves. Number 5. Dial H for Hero. Dial H for Hero is only a few issues deep at the moment, but already it's clear that DC are onto something special. It's been 7 years since the last Dial H comic was on stands, but now the torch falls to Sam Humphries and Joe Quinones. The latter is easily one of the most expressive artists currently plying his trade with the big two, while Humphries' work on Blackbird alongside Jen Bartel made the comic one of 2018's best. Dial H for Hero revolves around Miguel, the latest owner of the Hero Dial, which allows its user to assume the power of any hero they choose for a set amount of time. It's a brilliant premise, and the perfect one to allow Humphries and Quinones to work their magic. It's just pure fun, and while there's still plenty more to come, for now, Dial H for Hero is one of DC's best comics currently going. Number 4. Hawkman. Justice League Unlimited fans may all know that Hawkgirl is greater than Hawkman, don't at me, but the current series focusing on the latter has been brilliant, which is why it's sad to learn that Brian Hitch has now left the title. For the last year or so, Hitch has been working wonders on Hawkman alongside Robert Venditti. Venditti has done loads for DC since the start of the decade, working on the likes of Green Lantern and The Flash, but this might just be his best work. Likewise, Hitch is at the top of his game here, with the Hawkman character giving the artist a platform to experiment with some truly luscious visuals. Hawkman himself looks phenomenal, and even though Hitch has only been involved with the title for about a year, it's clear he's left a solid mark on the hero. Although it's sad that he won't be attached to the book anymore, Venditti is staying on and will be joined by artist Will Conrad. Here's hoping the book is able to keep its momentum. Number 3. The Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is yet to live up to the heights of Donny Cates' previous work on Thanos, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Venom, but give it enough time, and it's sure to blossom into something special. On a purely surface level, the team Cates has assembled for the latest incarnation of the Guardians is brilliant. Joining usual suspects Star-Lord and Groot are Cosmic Ghost Rider, Beta Ray Bill, Moondragon, and Fila Vel, and it just works. Accompanied by artist Jeff Shaw, Cates has managed to breathe new life into the Guardians after a few years seemingly spent in the wilderness. If they can manage to make this a definitive lineup though, it's sure to be the start of something special. Also, did I mention it had Cosmic Ghost Rider? Cause he's the best thing ever, just look at him, wow. Number 2. Immortal Hulk. There's a reason why Al Ewing was tasked with leading festivities for Marvel Comics 1000, and if it isn't because he's currently holding the best Marvel book on stands, then it must be because he knows everything there is to know about Marvel editorial. In all seriousness, you struggle to find a book as affecting as Immortal Hulk. There's the classic Jekyll and Hyde back and forth between Bruce Banner and the not-so-jolly Jade Giant, only Ewing manages to delve deep into that dichotomy and extract something new and invigorating. Add to that Joe Bennett's pencils, a stunning selection of covers from Alex Ross, and a top-notch plot that continues to push boundaries, and it's easy to understand the hype. The less you know about Immortal Hulk's story, the better. The beauty in the book is that it keeps managing to raise the bar with each issue, and the best thing is that even those not accustomed to the Hulk's classic comics can enjoy it, myself included. Easy to read and utterly engrossing, Immortal Hulk is Marvel's best comic set in the main universe, and one fan simply must read at some point in the future, but preferably now. And number 1, Spider-Man Life Story. As was previously mentioned, Zdarsky had presided over the Spectacular Spider-Man from 2017 onwards, and though he left it behind by the end of last year, in 2019, he's focused his efforts on telling a different kind of Spidey story altogether. Spider-Man Life Story reappraises the entire history of the Warcrawler by rooting the character in a linear, fixed timeline. Starting in the 60s, in the age of Vietnam, student protest, and the Civil Rights Movement, Zdarsky chronicles Peter Parker's history on the page while contextualizing it in each decade's respective zeitgeist. In doing so, he reappraises fundamental aspects of Peter's character and gives way to a more authentic web-slinger. The addition of longtime Spidey artist Mark Bagley is also welcome. Visually and narratively speaking, it enables Life Story to blend the familiar with the unexpected. The miniseries might only be 3 issues deep at the time of recording, but it's completely and utterly engrossing. Don't miss it before it wraps later this year. But I want to know what comics you've all been reading. Let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. As always, I've been Ewan, keep supporting your local comic book store, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!